I am going through all of the perks, ammo mods, and field upgrades, testing every single base item with all 6 augments to figure out which ones are working, not working, busted, but also overpowered. Now the next up on our journey is Melee Macchiato. No, I'm done. It's okay. I'm done. It's just my favorite song. Now, Melee Macchiato is a very, very cool perk and are built with some amazing builds if you want to use them. But there's one thing that I want to talk about specifically that I don't think you even realize just yet. And I think it's really exciting. But with that, let's get into all the details and the stats about why Melee Macchiato is kind of the most underrated, but also completely not used and nobody ever really talks about it. We're going to talk about all of that today in our video. So let's just get right into today's video. All right, so per usual, every time that I am doing any of these tests, I want to let you guys know if this is your first time around. But first off, if this is your first time around, what's up? What's up? Welcome. Whenever I do any of these testings, sometimes there are some variations of a few different frames, meters per second, whatever the case is. If I see any major variance about 5 or 6 or whatever, then I'll, for the most part, go ahead and test it and retest it until I don't have any of that stuff anymore. But let's just dive deep into Melee Macchiato today. So Melee Macchiato, super simple, very easy perk. The base perk itself, all it does is sends or replaces weapon gun butt with a deadly punch that sends enemies flying. One thing I really wanted to be able to test is what's the trajectory of that angle for which zombies do go flying? 60 degrees. So I don't know if that matters at all to you guys. I'm sure to somebody, you probably want to know that. But I couldn't really find the exact speed because it's like when I punch something, it's really hard for me to be able to go around and actually like figure out exactly what the distance is that they fly. But it looks like they go about 10 to 15 meters flying if it's just open area. But they fly for about 1.5 seconds. Now, it is a little bit difficult to test like exactly that speed because whenever the zombies are flying, right, you've got the punch that they go up and then they're flying directly in the sky and then eventually they drop off. But when it's going up, it's kind of difficult to test the speed, but just know that they fly for about 1.5 seconds. If that's something that matters to you, I just thought that was a really cool feature. But outside of that, let's talk about the real stats with this. So how fast do you gun butt? On average, you gun butt about 80 to 90 frames per second. For that, there's an activation delay, which is whenever you hit the punch up until the time where they actually get hit. And one of the things I did notice with this is that when you'll be able to see here on my visual, when you do activate the punch part, like where your actual fist comes out and hits them, is delayed based on the point and the type of punch that you do. So there's 4 types of punches that you could potentially do. There is a straight jab with your right hand. There's a straight jab with your left hand. There's also a hook as well as an eye gouge. Those are the 4 types of punches. And so depending on the punch, you'll actually hit the zombie and do damage to it and knock it away before even the punch comes out. It's kind of crazy. There's about the activation delay about 17 frames a second. And then normally on average is about 36 frames per second for a punch recovery. And then that punch recovery is like when your fist is actually out until it leaves the screen. And then lastly is about 30 frames per second for weapon recovery, which is after your hand leaves the screen and how much time it takes for your weapon to come back up. So again, about 80 to 90 frames per second. So that's about almost around 1.5 seconds for that entire gun butt. Now, how long is this one shot is the real question. So obviously, as you guys can see here, this is one shot up until round 20 without having on any perk at all. This actually just does with just your regular gun butt about 125 damage. It does exactly 125 damage. And so you only get up to round 1. But with Melee Macchiato, it extends that all the way up to round 20. Now, just because all strength training does is your punch can one-hit normal enemies for longer. It only one punch is for 5 more rounds. So the gun butts don't do a specific percentage of damage. It just has a cap of the round. Now, if you did not know, the ice staff is not affected at all by Melee Macchiato, period. It does not give it any additional damage or anything like that. It does not extend. the one-shot damage or anything like that. So that just means that if you do have on the ice staff and you are using it and punching, you will always do 3,367 damage. The last round of the gun butt or the punch is one shot is round 22. So that's going to be really important later when we get into talking about some other things. Before we move on, Joey Virus over here on YouTube asks, does Melee Macchiato affect melee damage on immune injections? Unfortunately, it does not. I really wish that it did. Like, it'd be really cool is like if you could have it on, but the reason why it doesn't is because whenever you go into immune injection, you actually lose your perks. You actually lose Melee Macchiato. It's like not there. Up next, let's go ahead and talk about the easier perks to explain. Let's talk about stick and move. Stick and move, backpedal speed is increased after a successful melee attack. Super, super simple. You get about a 50% boost to your movement, to your backpedal movement speed. And that speed boost is about 1.5 seconds long. So you'll be able to see like the change. There's no visual effect on the screen, but you just see that you stop moving as fast, and that's about it. Now, this buff and time is the same for melee weapons and also whenever you're gun button as well. So you'll have the same exact movement speed. For the record, you'll have about a movement speed of around 6.6 meters per second. Right around there. I'm not sure if they specifically meant to give it exactly 6.6 meters per second, whatever the case, but that's about the speed that you'll get after. Otherwise, your regular backpedal speed is about 3.7 meters per second. Up next, we've got Vampiric Extraction as a major augment. And with this major augment, it's actually really awesome. It's really good. Melee attacks heal a small amount of your health. If you are doing like your camo grind and you're trying to get a lot of those kills, but you need to like recover your health because you're not as good, then just know that any melee attacks with your melee weapons and also your punches will recover 25% of your max health. It does not jumpstart your health delay or your health regeneration delay at all. So as an example, if you don't have on quick revive, you got about 6 seconds before your health starts to regenerate. This, when you get that punch or you swipe with your melee weapon, it gives you 25% health back, but it does not jumpstart your health regeneration delay. So you do have to still wait that total 6 seconds, but at least it does help in that case. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about Expresso and Triple Shot all in the same round. So this is super important because Expresso versus Triple Shot, they're both major augments. You can only have on one. As you can see here in my visual, now on the right side, super simple. If you are not using a melee weapon, I would just recommend using Triple Shot if you are trying to get groups of zombie kills. This is because if you also have on Hidden Impact, we're going to talk about that here shortly, Hidden Impact is going to pop effect for all three of those zombies in that one group that you punch. So that's going to be very important. However, if you do not have on, if you're not trying to do like a melee build or like a gun butt build, and you are using a melee weapon, or you just don't really care to be getting groups of zombie kills, it would make sense to have on Expresso. And that's just because if you are trying to kill a lot of enemies at one time, then Triple Shot is going to be good for you. But otherwise, that's not really a part of your build. Just having on Expresso instead is going to be much better to be able to get in and out of punches, be able to get in and out of those melee swipes much faster. But that just truly depends on what it is that you're doing. Once again, you cannot use a melee weapon with Triple Shot. I mean, you can have it on, but it's not going to do anything for you. And then last but not least, Hidden Impact is super simple. Melee kills reload a portion of your held weapon. It reloads exactly 10% of your magazine size. Now, with having this on, as you can see in my visual, Melee Macchiato, each melee kill reloads 10% of your last visible weapon. But let's just talk about like that reload, because sometimes it doesn't really matter. And I've also talked about this before, but let's say you got the Marine SP. Let's say you've only got 6 rounds of a magazine. You're going to get 1 round return for every melee kill that you get, whether it's with a punch or a swipe. For the XM4, let's say you got 45 rounds. You're not going to get 5, you're going to get the lower, so you're going to get 4 rounds return. And then also, if you are using the staff, the ice staff, so getting melee kills does give you ammo back to your regular ice staff. That's really cool. But what you may not have known is that if you have the secondaries on, then you can actually get 1 round return with every melee attack that you do have with the ice staff. If you have the secondary. Now that secondary is so very strong. I believe you can get 10, 15,000 damage with just having that secondary on after you've upgraded the ice staff. which is huge. That's a lot of damage to be able to do to those zombies, especially if you're staying in a low rounds, if you're doing, maybe you are on directed mode or anything like that. That is going to be very effective to be able to use as a strategy, because if you get, one shot, you can just punch, get another shot back, and you can just keep going with infinite ammo. That is a great way to have an infinite ammo build if you're not using that. If you have multiple weapons, this was a question from Cameron BT. If you have multiple weapons, which weapon gets the fill if you are punching and getting melee kills? So it's always going to be the last visible weapon that you saw, and regardless of whatever situation. So as an example, let's just say that you've got two weapons, you got X4 and you got the shotgun. And let's say the last shot that you got was with the shotgun and you just instantly punched, you're going to get ammo to your shotgun. Even if the shotgun is full, it's not going to give your other weapon, the X4, ammo if it's not full. It's only going to give the last visible weapon ammo, and if it's already full, then, right? Next, let's just say that you, instead of having it on the hold bar where you hold your controller or whatever it is for a keyboard, instead of having it on the hold, you have it on a wheel. That just means you YY until you get to your melee weapon, your melee slot. If that's the case, whenever you get a melee kill, the very last weapon that was visible is the one that's going to get it. Now, if you Y until you got to, or YY until you got to your melee weapon, the weapon just before it, which is typically going to be the weapon that you bought off the wall or bought from a box that you picked up off the ground. That second weapon is the one that's going to get the ammo. If your punch is too, if it passed round 25, right, where your punch is not effective, it's not one shot, yeah, you're going to need to make sure that your melee weapon is on hold, so that way you can pull the melee weapon out, get kills, and it'll reload that. But it might just be more simple to just go buy ammo. Like I said before, the ice staff is perfect with this because it will refill one of the alt version of your staff. Vulture A does not fill your wonder weapon ammo for the alt version. It does only for the ice blast version, but not for the alt version. Why that's so important is because a lot of us like to use the ice staff for the blast, like the little one shot, and then also the storm. But some people use it as a really good strategy just to use the alt version or the secondary version to get a lot of kills, especially if you're trapped, right? If you're trapped, the ice staff storm blast is going to take a while to charge up versus just shooting or just switching instantly to your secondary and then getting a shot. Overall, when it comes to the ice staff, it's just a really cool way to get a lot of kills, rack up all the way up to, around 100 even, because that damage from the ice staff's secondary is very effective. And you can continue to get bullets back utilizing hidden impact. And also, if you can get those triple shots with it on, that's going to be super helpful as well. Augmented attacks are slightly faster. It helps out there as well. There's a lot of different ways that you can get benefits out of using the ice staff, because it does have really good damage. And if you do come into the game early on, you can just immediately use the ice staff if you pull that or if you build it up early. So a whole lot of information and education about Melee Macchiato. Hopefully this video is a lot shorter than my previous videos, but there has been a lot of information that we have went over here on our YouTube channel. If you are not familiar, or if you've not seen my video where I talked about how our YouTube channel, if you are a premium member of YouTube, is so very cool, because if you come to my YouTube channel and you select a video, if you have premium mode, if you have the premium mode, all right, here we go. If you have on premium mode, if you click on this ask button over here right below me, you guys can be able to turn my entire channel into a wiki, and it is the coolest thing. Depth perception. If you want to, what question can we ask it? What is the best major augment for depth perception to use? And it will give you my stats and my information for you, so that way you don't have to go through the entire video. And this is huge because it also points you. The video focuses on 2 augments for depth perception: depth stare and critical eye. Depth stare, timestamp 922. Stare. So depth stare allows your elemental damage to have the chance to one-shot enemies that are on health, and then critical eye, and it'll point you directly to that point in my video as well. This is huge because it really turns our channel to a wiki. You can even ask it other questions about some of my other videos as well. But then also, you know, the biggest, most important question is, should I subscribe if I haven't already subscribed to Charming's channel? And I'll give you an answer. You 100% sure. But with that, guys, if you want to join an amazing community as well, we've got a beautiful community growing that is being launched actually on February 22nd. Feel free to come and join, grow with us, network with other creators, other gamers, other individuals who just want to grow as well. That community, I'm taking all of my knowledge in life and business, consulting and counseling and coaching, my mental health journey, my financial agency, my entrepreneurship, and my gaming and content creation journey, wrapping it all in to be able to give to you guys as a community. So the link is going to be in the description below to be able to join the Gamers Freedom Formula. I've got a ton of different trackers and sheets, guided discussions, lessons, emotional intelligence questions and tests, all of these different things to help you guys out with your own personal journey of growth. Like I said, you guys can join free. Check out DSB, and you guys have a beautiful goddamn day, and check out PhD Flopper. PhD Flopper had a lot of really cool stuff, and I don't think you guys are ready for it.